What's up, everyone? It's Kanan,
It's Jessie.
and we're the Geeky Saying Couple, and welcome to part 4 of our going back and looking at the character growth and development of Team RWBY. This is, well, it was going to be the last one, but Jess gave me an idea. But this one is about Yang. We are considering doing a fifth video where we do one video and talk about all of Team Juniper. Might for fun do a poll to see if you guys are interested in that, or we may just go ahead and do it. I don't know. But so before we get to Yang, we have got to talk about reactions to the English dub of Ice Queendom. So it's technically Monday morning. We're recording this very late, but still gonna consider it recording on Sunday. So today, the first episode of the English dub released for first members. We have still not watched it because we both worked all day. But Rooster Teeth and RWBY, as far as I know, I've not seen anything on Twitter, have still been relatively quiet about how reactions for Ice Queendom are going to be handled. Now, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Japanese companies are very, very strict. They've actually gotten stricter in the last couple of years on people reacting to their anime. Um, a lot of people cover up the screen. They put a timer up on the screen. Now, if we have to do that for the English dub, we'll do it. But we're gonna wait and see how the other reaction channels do their reactions to the English dub. That Kaito Dan, Kalaxon, Murder of Birds, all the others, to see how they do it and see what exactly happens. Kind of using them as guinea pigs in a way to see what exactly happens, because being a smaller channel, we don't want to risk getting a copyright strike and all that stuff going on. So our reactions to Ice Queendom will be a little bit delayed. Plus, remember, me and Jess are getting married in less than a week, so that's also going to delay it a little bit. Because we are going to go on a honeymoon. I'm going to try and record stuff ahead of time to go up while we're there. But I've only got one day off before the actual wedding day, so we'll see. So, yeah, we don't know exactly when episode 1 will go up, but as soon as we see, because like I said, during the Japanese version's run, I saw several channels, some smaller than ours, reacting to the Japanese version with no cover on the screen, no timer. They were reacting to it just like we react to original RWBY. Their videos are still up, and nothing has been taken down or anything like that. So I don't know. We're, like I said, we're going to play it safe for right now and see how everyone else's reactions go, and then we will go from there. If we have to put up more than one reaction in 1 week, we will, to catch up. But yeah, so just be a little bit more patient, and we'll see next week when. I'm guessing they're handling it the same way original RWBY is. It'll be for first members for 1 week, and then when the next episode drops, the previous episode will be released to everyone. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right. So anything you want to throw in? Okay. All right. So Yang. Now, just like last week, we did Blake, and Blake is Jess's favorite character. Yang is my favorite character. I love Yang for a lot of reasons. Some of it is just how her character is portrayed, and there are some things about her that I love that are very small, like the fact that, and even Jess can back this up, in anime and video games, I tend to favor characters that use their hands and feet over things like swords and spears and bow and arrows and stuff like that. Like, my main character in Final Fantasy XIV is a monk who fights with her fists and feet. I don't know. I just prefer characters like that.
Whereas I like dual wielding with things, so.
Yeah. So if she ever plays 14, she'll more than likely be a rogue slash a ninja because I think they're technically the only class that really dual wields. They dual wield daggers. Um, so it's small stuff like that, but I don't know. I've always liked Yang's design. I have loved every single one of her outfit changes. I know a lot of people have always been mixed about her Atlas outfit. I love it. I love the bomber jacket. I love the mechanic look. A lot of people love her Mistral outfit, which was kind of like a cowboy in a way. I even loved her Ice Queendom new design. So can't wait to see what her Vacuo outfit eventually looks like. But Yang is kind of funny in that there's a lot of fans who preferred how she was in volumes 1 through 3 and say that her character has kind of been ruined in recent volumes because she's more broody, she's more serious, and that kind of paints Yang as not really being very important. It's just, she's just meant to be the hot blonde in a way. I don't really see Yang that way. I never have. I don't know why. To me, the most attractive member of Team RWBY is Blake. Um, but that's how Yang kind of started. She was the party girl. Um, and it's funny. I've always had a theory that when RWBY first started, they really didn't know what to do with Yang because we had the yellow trailer, had her going to that bar, you know, showing that she kind of does underage drinking a little bit because a strawberry sunrise is an alcoholic drink. Um, but then Volume 1 comes, and Yang really doesn't have much of a role in Volume 1. She's literally the main protagonist's big sister, and that's it. That's literally the role she plays in Volume 1. Then in Volume 2, of course, we got a lot of her like pretty much her story, like what her real story is, some background on her that gave her a bit more depth. Then of course we had the things that happened in Volume 3, her getting framed, her losing her arm, which all led to quite a bit of a character change. Um, so Yang has kind of always had. So, like we said, with RWBY's story has kind of been developing into more of a leader. Weiss was going from the snooty, high class girl to being more of the team mom in a lot of ways. From Blake being the loner to now opening up and being more like herself before Adam turned her into what he did. Yang started off as, yeah, the party girl, the kind of the lighthearted girl who tells all the jokes and all that, and there's still parts of that is still in Yang's character, um, but she turned into more of a brooding, more serious character that has a lot more depth to her now than she did. A lot of people didn't like it, and there's a lot of people that prefer her that way. And of course, her role in Team RWBY is she's the brawler. She's the tank in a way. Some would say that she is physically the strongest member of Team RWBY, which I would say that's probably right. I think Ruby's silver eyes give her a little bit of an edge in other things. I think each girl has a strength in each one, but I always said that if Final Fantasy XIV and RWBY ever did a crossover, Yang would be a monk, and a monk is a very strong DPS class, and I think that fits her. But in Volume 1, like I said, not much to Yang's character. Yeah, she tells her puns every now and then, but she didn't do much in Volume 1. Volume 2, they did kind of crank up the puns a little bit. I start my day off with a Yang, and stuff like that. Um, And there for a while in Volume 2, it seemed like Yang was just going to be a background character again, like she was in Volume 1. But then we get the very famous episode, Burning the Candle. So, everyone thinks of this episode as a core Bumblebee episode. Like, if people weren't shipping Bumblebee before this episode, after this episode, people started shipping Bumblebee. But Yang is very confident that out of everyone, she can talk Blake into coming to the dance. Because before all this, Blake's been very self-destructive. She's not sleeping. She's not focusing on her studies. She's completely obsessed with taking out the White Fang and defeating Roman. Now, there's been a lot of theories as to why Yang was so confident. There's been many theories, of course, one of them being that she kind of has a similar situation with her and Raven, though, like she said in the conversation, she wouldn't let it control her. There's some others who are thinking that Yang was so confident because she knew that if her story didn't work, she could offer herself in a way and offer Blake a dance, and maybe that would entice Blake to come to the dance. Who knows which one is more true? Probably more that she kind of related to Blake a little bit.
She took her own situation to relate it to make her understand.
Yeah. But the flirty way she does ask Blake to the dance, well, not invite her to the dance, but offer her a dance, who knows? Maybe that was part of Yang's plan. Who knows? But the story, once again, told us more about Yang's backstory, about how Raven abandoning her as a child really did affect her a whole lot, and she has spent a lot of her time looking for Raven, but she would never let it control her to the point where she became self-destructive. That she almost let that happen once, and it almost cost both her and RWBY their lives if it had not been for Crow. Now, of course, Volume 3, we have the Vital Tournament. That, for most of Volume 3, was a very big part of that volume. You know, it was a tournament volume. Tournament seasons in any kind of show are always exciting, but you could tell throughout the volume that the plot that the villains were planning was building, and building. And it's kind of a common theme in RWBY that the heroes, for the most part, don't know what the villains are plotting until it's too late. And of course, it all starts with Yang fighting Mercury and Yang winning, but Mercury attacking her and Emerald using her semblance to make it look like Yang attacked him, framing Yang. And like, a lot of people were kind of hoping that would come back in the Atlas arc, like people seeing Yang and being scared of her because they think that she attacked someone else on a live television, but it's never really been touched upon ever again. There was that moment in Volume 6 where Cordovan said, you know, people of questionable character, and of course a lot of people latched on to her looking at Blake, but since Yang is in the same screen, many thought maybe that she was talking about Yang as well after what happened at the Vital Tournament. But anyway, this is one of the first times we've really seen Yang down, was this part in Volume 3. Now, of course, in Volume 2, we also got a little bit more of, you know, of Oobleck questioning every member of Team RWBY except RWBY herself. I'm always guessing it's because maybe out of all of them, RWBY was the most upfront and truthful about why she wanted to be a huntress, where he kind of...
He could kind of, like the other ones...
He was kind of like, huh.
He could see that there was a lie there. Like, it wasn't the truth. But, I mean, teachers have learned to see that, though.
Well, which Weiss even admitted on her part that, yeah, she didn't mean what she said. But Yang, you know, said she's a thrill seeker. She wants to go on as many crazy adventures as she can. Wants to see the world, and if she helps people along the way, it's a win-win. So, I mean, it's not that Yang's not selfish. She's not just doing this for kicks. She wants to help people, which we see as volumes go on. The whole need to help people builds and builds to the point where she disagrees with the one person we've never seen her disagree with before, and that be RWBY. Um, and of course, they have the moment where her, Weiss, and Blake talk around the campfire. Um, and it's always funny because was it Yang who said, at least you guys have something that really drives you guys? Or was that another? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen Volume 2. Um, but anyway, so we have Yang at one of her more weaker moments when she's accused of this. Um, and of course, another great Bumblebee moment is the part where Blake's past with Adam is making her question if she really saw Yang do what she did. Um, which is wild because even Weiss is like, nah, I don't.
I know you're hot headed, but
yeah, you're not, yeah, and Blake not believing her, like, I think Volume 3 is the first time we've ever seen Yang cry, and so you finally see that bravado she has drop. Um, and she finally shows a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not weakness. She just shows more emotion. She lets her walls down a bit. Um, and she decides to stay in her room for a while. She does have a talk with Crow. Vulnerable. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
I was thinking, I was like, there's a word we're missing here.
Yes, vulnerable. That is what I meant. And then, of course, she has her talk with Crow, which he kind of pushes her a little bit in the direction of knowing where Raven is and all that. Oh, and how can we forget, in Volume 2, she also had her first major loss, and that being at the hands of Neo, where Neo pretty much owned her the entire fight. Still want a Neo and Yang rematch. Like, really, I want to see if the whole fighting smarter would change how she would fight Neo. Maybe we'll get a little teaser of that in Volume 9, because we still don't know what they're going to do with Neo. I just don't tease us with a Bumblebee kiss and one of them be Neo. Please don't do that.
Do you know how pissed everyone would be?
Yeah, but people could also say, oh, even though it was Neo, this still means that either Yang or Blake want to kiss the other. I don't know. But anyway, let's not turn this into a Bumblebee video. And then, of course, we all know the fall of Beacon happens. Yang finally leaves her room with Zwei in tow, and eventually finds Blake and attacks Adam when she sees him attacking Blake, and loses her arm. And at the end of Volume 3 is a very, I don't know if you'd say controversial, but it's a very dividing scene of Yang. The first time of us seeing Yang being this colder, more brooding character. But, I mean, who could blame her? She lost her arm. I don't want to think what kind of state of mind I would be in if I was in some kind of accident or something and lost one of my limbs. I'd hate to imagine what it does to somebody.
But it wasn't just that, though.
Well, yeah, I know. But there's the whole, Blake left and all that. But we see her be kind of cold towards RWBY, which is really not like Yang at all. Poor RWBY even tells Yang that she loves her, and Yang does not reply back at all. So, yeah, it's a very depressing and very sad scene. And it's kind of prolonged with her recovery in Volume 4. Yang is having nightmares. She's having PTSD. Just a lot is going on with Yang in this. And, I mean, we could probably make a whole video about Yang's PTSD and all that. But we don't have that kind of time. But thanks to her father and her own strength, definitely, Yang does recover enough to leave. Even though I still think when Ty said, I didn't say you were ready to leave, I think he really meant it. I don't think he wanted her to leave as early as she did. But because she was still definitely recovering. But Yang's that type of character who, isn't like it isn't going to take no for an answer after a while. And so during volume 5, we once again see a more serious Yang. The bandit at the bar, she literally has no patience for him at this point, and literally punches him out of the bar.
Like a ping pong ball.
Yeah, and even though you can and a lot of people, I've seen people ask, why did she trust him enough to lead her into a trap? Well, it's because she knew he would probably she knew he would lead her to Raven.
Or at least the direction to get to her.
Yeah,
so.
like he thought he was luring Yang into a trap when really Yang was using him the whole entire time. And then of course she beats up Raven's bandits, which I still think is one of the highlights of Volume 5.
That is one of those. I think we listed that was one of my favorite fights, was that one.
Yeah, and so, in this fight we see Yang definitely fighting a bit differently.
I think that's another reason why she just, besides Raven, she knew if he tried something, she could take him out. Mm-hmm. She knocked him out of the bar with a punch, once. So she knew she could just take him if he tried anything. But that her taking them out and then him realizing, well, I am her daughter.
Yeah.
And he knew he was in trouble.
Well, also, even though Yang at this point has changed into more of a serious character, unlike in the past, she's not letting her anger fully get to her, because we literally go through all of Volume 5 of her teasing her semblance, her eyes turning red, but never fully using it. She has went to where
she's really listened to what Ty has said to her.
Yeah, and it's eventually to the point where she only uses her semblance when she really needs to. I think in all the volumes, we've literally only seen her use her semblance a handful of times. She used it against Adam. She used it in the fight against the Aesops, and she used it when she saved Ruby from Neo at the end of Volume 8. So, yes, she has really gotten to where she rarely uses it as much. How many times in Volume 3 alone did she use her semblance? It was a lot. And then, of course, we see the soft side of Yang again when her and Ruby reunite, but what's interesting is her interactions with Raven. Yang pretty much shows this whole no nonsense, get to the point. I'm not here for you. I just came because I knew you'd be a shortcut to Ruby. And I don't want to say Raven is jealous of Ruby, but you could tell it irked her, that she expected Yang to come crawling after her when that wasn't it. She's just Uncle Crow told me that, your semblance
works, so I'm going to use you for this.
Yeah, and Raven didn't like that. And I think it's one of the first times where any member of Team RWBY has used a curse word, where Yang says, damn it. But, we see that Yang still has her soft side with her reunion with Weiss, her reunion with Ruby, and we do see in the interactions with Nora especially that she still has her playful jokester side when her and Nora arm wrestle together, and she also teases Weiss a few times as well, calls Jean Vomit Boy and all that, so she still has that side of her. It's just that she doesn't do it as much as she did. Plus, we have her breakdown over Blake in this, what if I needed her here for me? And then, of course, at the end of Volume 5, we have the reunion, and she's the one that takes the longest to welcome Blake back, even though she still does in the same scene. And then, of course, you have Volume 6, where, boy, I kind of wish we had started reactions during Volume 6, but Volume 6 was a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. And it seems like for some parts of it, Yang is still acting like herself, like her and Ruby making faces at Dee and Dudley, I think their names were, because they were Tweedledee and
I think
Tweedledum.
so.
And stuff like that. But then when it comes to her interactions with Blake, she's a lot more subdued in a way. Like, well, not subdued, but like just, I don't know. Like, we'll go from one scene of Yang being like, we're going to be fine. It's just going to take time for things to be back to normal, but I'm really glad we're back together, to moments like in the farmhouse where, when Blake volunteers her and Yang to look around, she kind of gives a look like, whatever. But I think that might have had to do more with the apathy than anything else.
Yeah, that would it'd bring out the smallest negative feelings and emotion that she had in her still.
Yeah.
To the front because of what it did, which, I mean, we found out later why. I mean, it makes sense.
And of course, Blake and Yang's interaction in that shed or like barn thing they were in, it's kind of obvious that Yang's PTSD gets to her in many ways, and Raven kind of talked about that in their moment where they butted heads at the end of Volume 5 about how she was shaking like a scared little girl. Gosh, how can we forget about that? Like, her talk with Raven at the end of Volume 5 is still probably one of the most biggest things that Yang's character has ever done, because Volume 5 really did seem like a Yang volume in a lot of ways, which still kind of bugs me that people say Volume 5 is the worst volume. No, that's Volume 1. But yeah, my favorite character in her volume is considered the most weakest or worst. But I think, even though Yang showed a lot of strength in front of Raven. She stood up to her, but then once Raven was gone, Yang let it all go. She wasn't going to cry in front of her. Then, of course, like I said, I will say this until RWBY proves me wrong, but Raven crying and saying she was sorry to Yang was a glimpse at the real Raven, I think.
What's under the act that she puts in front of everybody.
So I'm kind of hoping they touch back with that eventually.
Which also, if you think, would tie back to how she reacted, when Yang pretty much told her she was using her to get to RWBY.
Yeah.
That bothered her because she, deep down, we know she wanted Yang when she was old enough to find her. But, it kind of makes a little more sense. But that emotion, the strength for Yang to say what she did to Raven and just not back down from it at all, it shows a lot.
But yeah, there's a lot more we could probably say about that scene between Yang and Raven, but we just, like I said, we don't have the time. But the point of it is that Yang, it kind of shows how Yang puts on a brave face, but then when she's all by herself, she breaks down.
It also shows that's a development moment. Go back to burning the candle when we first learn about this, of how she feels about this, to her confronting her like that.
Yeah.
That's a huge change. It shows how far she's come from that. Her talk was to help Blake, but in the end, later on, could look back on that and be like, okay, well, she's developed in herself to be able to do that.
Yeah. So back to Volume 6. After the whole apathy thing, there's not much else until the fight with Adam. I still think one of the best fights in RWBY history, not because of the Bumblebee stuff, but just how it is. Well, also, we were talking about Raven saying how Yang was shaking like a scared little girl. When Blake says, I'll protect you, it does not go very well. Because, Yang is that type of character who doesn't want to be told that. She wants it. They were inflicted by the apathy, but a lot of people, of course, said that it made Yang feel weak, made her feel vulnerable, and that's not what Yang wants to be. But, during the fight with Adam, we learned that it's because she wants her and Blake to be equals. She wants to protect each other, not one protecting the other.
Which, I know, in that moment, I mean, Blake obviously she didn't mean it the way it sounded to like how Yang was taking it, because those words to her would obviously mean that's exactly what you said.
I think
They want them to
Blake
be
was.
equal.
I think Blake was trying to be suave a little
She was
bit,
well,
but
she was trying to like because of what happened. She wanted to make Yang understand. I don't want him. I don't want to let that ever happen again. Like, and those were the words she chose, but it obviously triggered to Yang, and that's not what she wanted. So she took it a little, kind of the wrong way, if you get what I mean. Like
yeah.
she didn't get the context that she was meaning because of the choice of words that Blake had said to her about protecting her. She didn't want that to happen to her again, or something else bad to happen.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And then the apathy,
Yeah.
broadcasting everything worse.
But of course, once they kill Adam, Blake and Yang react totally different ways. Of course, Blake breaks down like she did because this was a guy that she at one point loved. And even though she didn't love him anymore, and really
the torment was still there as long as he was alive.
Well, that, but also she, even after everything he had done, she didn't want it to come to that. She didn't, at the end of the day, want it to come to having to kill him. Yang, on the other hand, did not have that kind of history with Adam. This is the guy who took her arm. The guy that had been tormenting her in nightmares. The guy who hurt Blake. The guy who led to Blake running to leaving her. Because if you look at Yang's face after Yang falls, she doesn't look really heartbroken or anything. The only time she really changes her look is when she sees Blake fall to the ground, which she runs over and comforts her. Not to say that the aspect of taking someone else's life didn't bother Yang, but it was in the moment. At that moment, they had just taken care of someone who was trying to kill them. So, of course, Yang's going to react to it differently. Now, moving on to Volume 7, it's funny. Yang had some moments in this, but they were mostly, really, if you think about it, all of Yang's moments in Volume 7 were really focused around her and Blake. In Volume 7, it's like both her and, because we can't talk about Yang in this situation without talking about Blake again. Like we said in Blake's video, they kind of have, they've restarted. It's a reset. Blake is acting more like herself before Adam's, gaslighting and all that. And Yang is more back to how she used to be. Still more serious, but she's laughing more. She's telling jokes more again. She wants to go out to a dance club and dance, The real big moment we have in Volume 7 is, of course, when they're in the truck and they're talking, and Blake is not okay with jumping Robin. She does not think Robin is any kind of threat. She is actually, I think, on Nora's side as far as Robin is actually trying to do everything that's right. Even though, yes, she is stealing because she is Robin Hood at this point. But, and of course, Adam is not named, but it's pretty much brought up with, Yang telling her they did what they had to do. But Blake says she never wants something to get that bad again to where they have to take someone else's life. And even though they have different opinions on the whole Ironwood thing and all that, they come to a compromise. That's one of the great things about Blake and Yang, is that even if they don't agree, they still find a way to make it work for both of them.
Which shows that's a growth for a lot of things, for each of them, the relationship between them, but also since they're partners as well. There's a lot of growth in a lot of different areas of that, and that's one thing that makes them, another thing that makes them work so well together.
Yeah. And then Volume 8. So, even though 7 is not considered an L for the heroes, things are not going well. Because Salem has arrived. And so the tension is big, and I'm sure they're exhausted. They're like their backs are against the wall, and for the first time ever, I think, in the show's history, Yang butts heads with her younger sister, the leader of Team RWBY, of course, Ruby Rose. And this was, I remember watching chapter 1, and it was kind of uncomfortable in a way, like seeing Yang doubt her sister's leadership and all that. And at the end of the day, they all want the same thing, but Ruby wants to target Atlas, where Yang wants to go to Mantle and help the people there. Now, as I said, I think the team-ups made sense in a lot of ways to this. Because a lot of people were upset that Blake didn't go with Yang. People were like, oh, I thought Blake would want to help Mantle because of all this and all that. But Blake made more sense to go because it was more of a covert thing, and she is literally the best one for that, even though that she wasn't really used for that.
But if needed, she would have been the best option.
Yeah. So, of course, during Yang's time in Mantle, there are parts of doubt. Every time people mention, where's your other friends, and stuff like that, and you see, I don't know if it's really doubt at one point for Yang, but it's like, maybe it makes her feel like she can't accomplish anything without the others there. But of course, we see later, when things are about as low as they can be, Ren's sitting out in the snow freezing his butt off because he's being very, very difficult because he's going through changes himself. She asks John, do you think she thinks less of me? Now, of course, at first, you think maybe she's thinking about Ruby, which that is what John thinks, but then she's like, yeah, Ruby, while she's looking at a part that is purple. So we see that Yang is doubting her decision and all this, which of course none of it's went right right now. And then of course when they're in the well, Yang has the honor of being the first member of Team RWBY to go one-on-one against Salem. Then of course she does the whole you took the most important person away from me or something like that. And Salem's like, who? And she's like, Summer Rose, my mom, which was see, people took that two different ways. They think she either meant Summer Rose, who is my mom, or Summer Rose and my mom, because Salem is the reason why Raven left. So a lot of people see it two different ways. But also during the well part, she tells a joke, and Ren, who has now unlocked a new version of his semblance, sees right through her and says, you don't have to cover everything by telling a joke. I know you're scared. And she admits it. She freely admits that, yeah, she's not really in a good place, which is something earlier in the series I don't think Yang would have done. So, of course...
She would have joked it off.
Yeah. So, of course, the whale blows up. Team RWBY reunites, and of course we have the three different hugs. The one with her sister, which she says she missed her too. So they've, like we always said, Yang and RWBY are sisters. Siblings bicker, siblings fight. At the end of the day, you're always going to love each other. It's unconditional love. Then we have the friendly divorce hug with her and Weiss, and then of course we have the romantic one with Blake. And then we of course have probably one of the more touching moments in RWBY history, and that is, at first Yang is once again trying to deflect the moment with humor, talking about how, the Hound completely owned them, but yeah, you guys and Weiss's mom and brother took it out, and she's like, still have to one-up your big sis, huh? And then RWBY, starts saying, this, that, that's what happened to Mom, and after the roller coaster that Volume 8 has been, Yang, once again, like for the first time since the end of Volume 5, breaks down. and actually cries. And of course, she comes over and holds RWBY, trying to comfort her, which RWBY is also on the verge of really, really breaking down even more. Um, and then, of course, we have the end of Volume 8, which still hurts to this day. Yang sacrificing herself for RWBY should have completely silenced anyone who says that Yang does not care about RWBY. Which many wonder if it's ever going to be brought up of Yang recklessly throwing herself into danger to protect others. And of course, like we said in the commentary, Eddie said that one of the reasons why Yang was chosen first is because Volume 8 was kind of Yang centric. Seemed like a good send off for her story for Volume 8, not overall, because we all know, because the trailer, that all of Team RWBY is alive and well. They're just trapped. But everyone said that he pretty much said that she is pretty much the heart of the team, because she has different connections with each member. Of course, her and RWBY are sisters. He didn't really mention anything with her and Weiss, but then of course he said her and Blake have this very strong emotional bond together. He said something like that. It's been a while.
I know
we're paraphrasing.
That was just the best word I could think of.
And really, when she fell, it rocked the fandom. A lot of people thought Yang was dead, which, I mean, you don't kill off one of the main characters when the show is literally named after them. The show would be called RWBY at this point. But, and that's really where we're left off. We don't know what happens in Volume 9 yet. We don't know what theory is right. It's obvious that it's based around kind of an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. So we are going to see some trippy stuff. And we're probably going to have them confront some things. So who knows what Yang will see. We're still hoping for that Bumblebee kiss when they reunite. I will say to this day, Yang was believed dead for a very short moment, and the way Blake reacted, if we don't get a kiss, I don't know what. But well, if we don't get a kiss, but if something at least happens, then that's fine. But I want to use those balloons. But we're going to end it there. I think this is probably one of the longer ones. I think maybe RWBY's was around 40 minutes. I can't remember. But Yang has a lot more going on than a lot of people give credit for. She started off as the lighthearted party girl, and she's now a more serious, more emotional character, and I think that's great. I think she's had some of the better character growth than some characters. But yeah, we're going to end it there. We may do a 5th video covering all of Team Juniper, because sadly some members would not have as much to talk about, sadly, because she was with us for a very short time. But hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave us a comment. As always, guys, this is Kanan.
This is Jessie.
We love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.